Hi everyone, I'm Larissa Russell of Creative You, and I'm your host of the Creative Soul Healing Podcast. Here's where we talk about the connection between creativity and healing by interviewing amazing creatives, spectacular healers, and inspiring people who have used creativity in their healing. What does it mean to be creative? What is creativity? You don't have to write a best-selling book or paint a masterpiece or even play in a rock band. Creativity is in everything that we do, in the ways we think, in the way we run a business. In our everyday lives, we are creative all the time. Let's talk about how we are creative and how creativity helps us heal mentally, physically, and emotionally, right now on the Creative Soul Healing Podcast. Hi, everyone. I'm Larissa Russell of Creative You, and welcome to the Creative Soul Healing Podcast. And today I have with me Lee Clements. Lee was one of our presenters for the Loving, Healing, Creating Summit that we ran in February from 2nd to 14th. And we absolutely loved having her. You can still get access to that summit at www.creativeyou.ca. So Lee is a mixed media artist, art journaler, and art teacher living in Melbourne, Australia. She believes that we all have inherent creativity, and inspiring, encouraging others to find their voice through creative exploration and expression, regardless of experience or artistic ability, is deeply gratifying and is her passion. Lee is a firm advocate for art journaling as a tool for mental well-being. Her art journal pages are a mixture of inner reflection, contemplation, and healing, as well as inspiring quotes, light bulb moments, and treasured memories. Incorporating personal symbology, she draws inspiration from the organic beauty of nature and the many facets of the human face and the meditative process of mandalas. Lee says, "My art journal is the place where I can express myself honestly, unashamedly, unconditionally, thoughtfully, and playfully. It is the place that brings me back to center and grounds me. It is my place of comfort and healing, a place to explore and play, and foremost, a place where I can just be." Wow. Welcome, Lee.
Hi everyone. Thank you for that.
Yes.
That was a bit of a mouthful, wasn't it?
It was really heartfelt. So I really like that. Very heartfelt.
Yeah. No, that's nice. Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's lovely
Yes,
to be
well,
here.
I'm quite excited to get into our questions and give everyone a chance to get to know you. And can you share some of your story and your path that you've taken?
I grew up in a family where we were encouraged to create and make things. My mum was a ticket writer, but also an artist, and she was always making things as well as doing her ticket writing. And our projects were big scale things, and once we got into them, I just loved it. We just couldn't stop, and it was fantastic. All my books were coloured in, and she just gave me the inspiration to try different things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's watching her draw and paint, that really inspired me and gave me the bug. So that's where I started. And I just started pencil drawing. And then fast forward to I married. I met someone overseas, and I married him and moved from Sydney to Melbourne. And life, the art took a backseat while life came in then, and the big move, and then having children. And one day my neighbour said to me, "Do you want to try your hand at folk art?" And I thought, what is this art film? So we went. Our kids were young and they were in kinder, and it just gave me the bug again. And I went from there to decorative painting. Then I started doing oils, realism in oils, and then I saw Flora Bowley and thought, "Oh, this looks fun." And I did a workshop with Tracy Verdugo. I did an online art journal class. I saw Journal Artista doing art journaling, and it all started coming together, and I just was enamored with this style of art and the way that I could express myself through art. So it just went from there. And as soon as I changed my art style, I still like the realism in the drawings, and I'd love to get back into oils, but now I find I'm too impatient for it to dry. So I just love this art journaling. And yeah, I started teaching in-person classes in a local scrapbook shop until they unfortunately closed down. And then Effie had invited me on as a guest teacher for Book of Days last year. And thankfully, she's been gracious enough to have me back for next year as well. So I'm pretty excited about that. Apart from that, I've just had exhibitions in my local council. Each year they have an arts-based program, and you have to submit to have an exhibition. So I've been lucky enough to be chosen for that for the last 5 years. So yeah, it's just been a bit of a roller coaster the last couple of years, but yeah, it's been good, and I like where it's going. I'm sort of thinking of new things and heading off in different directions. Still doing art journaling, but just, yeah, in my career. So, yeah.
Yeah, no,
So,
that's
yeah,
excellent.
that's my art journey.
So what does healing with creativity mean to you?
Healing with creativity is, the creativity side of it is a way for me to actually work through my emotions. I've tried just written journaling, and while I do, I can sit down and write 6 pages at a time and get it all out. Sometimes I still don't feel as if I've expressed it properly, or yeah, I don't know, my fingers are still itching to do something. And I just find combining that with art is just a way for me to lose myself in the process as well, but also then express in a visual way what's going on inside. And it actually helps me work through it. So sometimes I can work through it in just written journaling, but not often. Sometimes I'll just get it out and then I'll think, where to from here? I've got all that out on paper, but I need to express it differently, and maybe change a perspective on how I'm looking at things. And creativity does that for me.
Right.
Yeah, it helps me dig really deep. It's sort of trance-like. You know, if you get in the zone and I'm painting, I can block everything else out, and it's not that I'm actually clearing my mind. It's actually letting emotions and that come in. So
Yes.
you clear out the distractions of work and everyday life and everything else, and it allows you to actually bring up those emotions and thoughts and then work through them.
I totally agree. I say that often, like I do healing with creativity is what I mostly do with women. And when you're, especially I find with painting, we do a lot of different creative acts, but with painting, you just get into that zone, and it's
Yeah.
very meditative, and it allows you to process
Definitely.
things. And yeah.
Yeah, I find that I can process so much more, and even sometimes you don't realize you're processing it until the end. So you'll be so lost in the moment, and you'll come to a point, and it's like an aha moment, and you'll look at it and go, oh, that's what it is.
Yeah.
That's the answer that I'm looking for, or that's the way that I need to think of things, or yeah, just the feeling of healing is that you're feeling that you're moving past a challenge.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So what would you say is the driving force that inspires you?
I think for me, the driving force is helping others see what a valuable tool this is. I think that's it. I think it's I want everybody to experience what I get out of art and creativity, and I want them to feel the transformative effect that it has. Yeah, because I sort of see others that are, I don't know, sometimes people are lost and they say they're lost and they need something, and I just think, you know, there's so much in creativity that you could try to just tap into yourself and get rid of the distractions. There's so many distractions in this world now that I think people can lose themselves a little bit, and I think it can just bring them either a bit of peace and healing. Yeah, I think that's the driving force for me. I just want everybody to experience what I feel when I do it.
Yeah, totally understand that one. And is there a past pain that's informed your life purpose, or some way that you want to specifically use what you do to contribute in life?
Yeah, there is actually. I have two boys, but my youngest son was diagnosed with mild autism when he was 2.5.
Mm-hmm.
And while he's had some monumental achievements in his life, we've also obviously had a few challenges, and that's ongoing and will be ongoing.
Mm-hmm.
And then 3 years ago, I had the upsetting task of putting my mum in a nursing home. She has advanced dementia, and my dad tried to look after her. They're interstate, 900 kilometres away. So I sort of had to convince him that was the right thing to do, because he felt guilty, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And I continue to care for them remotely. He still wants to live at home, and that's fine. He's doing fantastic. He is such an inspiration for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I really leaned into my creativity to help me through the grief, the sorrow, the guilt, working through how I look at things. Yes, and I think I want my life purpose, and this is where I see that I'm talking about a career change, is to help others in my son and my mum and my dad's situation. Mm-hmm. And also mine, because I'm a sandwich carer now, sandwich generation carer.
Right.
And I just want to help others. If I can do something to give back to them, because I had a lot of help when my son was first diagnosed, and I still get a lot of help. And I've had some terrific people in the healthcare industry help me with my mum and my dad. Mm-hmm. If I can do something to help others, that's what I want to do. And if I can do that through creativity and art, that's what's really lighting my fire at the moment, because there's a lot of people hurting out there that feel alone. Mm-hmm. And if they can have just something to do like this that helps them through those emotions, then that's what I want to do.
Yes, absolutely. And I think there's so many transitions in life, and creativity, when we use that to help us work through those transitions, it's amazing.
It is. It's really helped me. I'd be lost without it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally understand that.
Sure. Yeah.
So what is your favorite creative healing modality?
I think I've got to say art journaling as a healing creative modality. Combining that with mandalas, I find them incredibly peaceful. That just it lowers my stress levels within minutes of me starting a mandala. I think the repetitive nature of the mandala is, as I said before, it's not to empty your mind. It's just to calm it down a bit so you can actually think through things without rushing and getting overwhelmed. The art journaling, combining the words and the art, that's got to be it for me, because you can just work through so much.
Right. Yeah. That makes, I totally get that. So what would you say is your greatest accomplishment to date?
Well, I think it's combined with what I've been through in my home life. And I think that's built my resilience. So I couldn't think of just one accomplishment. I mean, my family and bringing up my son with special needs, I think just bringing up a family, I think, is a great accomplishment for anybody. But I think if we're talking creativity wise, then I think it's the fact that I've been able to use that to help me and to help all of us. And I think I've found, as I said, I've found resilience through that, and it's actually given me the ability to actually step out of my comfort zone. And the last couple of years I have done that, and putting myself out there into art exhibitions and teaching online, like in the Book of Days. I couldn't have done that years ago. So I think, it's all combined. I can't just say one thing. I think it all sort of is a stepping stone to where I am now. But I think overcoming my fears and building resilience is probably what I'd say is my biggest accomplishment.
That seems like a really great one. So yes.
Yeah, I thought of that, and I thought, how am I going to answer it? What do I pick?
That's a great one. So if you could change one aspect of our society through your work, what would it be?
That for me would be building more compassion. I touched on it before when I said we're so distracted in this world now with social media, and people are being so hard on themselves, but they're also hard on others. So I'm thinking, I'm talking about compassion for the self and compassion for others, because there's so much pressure from outside influences that I think people can, as I said, they put so much pressure on themselves. They get into this, I don't know what it is, this altered mode of thinking that they have to have these likes, and they have to have, people following them, and I have to look like that person in social media. And they just need to come back and be compassionate with themselves, and have a bit of kindness for themselves, but also in that vein, have kindness for others. I think society's lost that a little bit. While there's a lot of people that are kind and compassionate to others, I think there's a very big void of people that aren't. And I think, we could all heal by just being kind and compassionate to other people. Yes. Just being a bit more respectful.
Yes.
And just realising that what you're going through is valid as well, but also other people are going through things as well. Just having compassion for that.
Yeah. And it's so true. We never know what people are going through. And, people tend to put on that brave face, and they're always smiling, and, or maybe they're snappy one day, but you never know what's going on in the background, right?
And I've always thought, I always remind myself that people are doing the best they can at the time. So in however that manifests, for them, they're doing the best that they can. Yeah. And I think if we just remind ourselves of that sometimes, we can just hold a little bit of space for them. And also, hopefully, then that is held for us as well.
Right.
But we've got to hold that for us as well, too.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Sometimes we beat ourselves up the most. It's true.
Yeah. Oh, we do. Yeah.
Yeah. I think especially as creatives, that's something that we're almost conditioned to do.
Oh, yes. Now we're talking about imposter syndrome and not being good enough. Yes. Yeah. That's always a challenge.
Yeah, definitely. So I think that really fits with that. My next question was, what inspirational advice would you give to someone who's struggling? And I think, you can expand on that, but you definitely touched on that with the last one.
Yeah, I think so. And I saw a quote by Brene Brown that we don't have to do it all alone, and that we were never meant to. And I think my advice is additional to holding a space of compassion for yourself, is actually reaching out sometimes. And sometimes that doesn't have to be a big thing. You could just ask someone for a hug, or just say to someone, I'm feeling down, can we just go for a coffee? But it might be, can you help me with the housework? So I think we need to ask for help in whatever form that is, and try not to do it all alone, because that's heavy. That's heavy to try and do it all on your own, when there's people out there that can help you, but sometimes they don't know what you need. I think we can sort of think, oh, they should know what I need because they see the situation I'm in, but it doesn't. They don't know sometimes. So
Yeah.
Sometimes all it is I just need a hug. Can I just have a hug? And that can be the difference. Yeah.
Yeah. I had a friend yesterday who's like, can I come for coffee? I just need to talk to somebody. And I'm like, absolutely.
Yeah, and we often think that we're not supposed to ask for help.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that, oh, if we ask for help, then, you know, we should be able to do this. But there's no shame in that. There's no shame in asking for help.
No. I feel like women are starting to learn that. Maybe men too, I'm not too sure, but women, I know in my friend circle, they're getting much better at it. And I don't know if it's an age thing, like once you're, in your 50s and later,
Yeah.
if you get to that point where it's like, okay, I know I never would have done it when I was younger. So I don't know if age or just a change in the world. I'm not too sure. But it is
Yeah,
so
I'm not
important.
sure about that either, because I've always been one to just do it by myself. I think because when I did move away from all my family and friends to move to Melbourne, I had to do a lot of things on my own. Or my husband and I had to do things on our own. So we did get into that habit. But particularly over the last 3 years, I've realised that that I'm going to burn out and I'll get overwhelmed if I don't. So, and people are only too willing to give a helping hand. But it has been hard. It's been hard for me. But yeah, I'm the same. I don't know whether it's the world or whether it's my age.
Yeah.
So, yeah, could be a bit of both.
Could be both. Let's hope it's the world.
Let's hope so.
So you mentioned the Brene Brown quote. Is that the inspirational quote that would sum up your life journey, or do you have another one?
That's a more recent one that I saw, but one that I keep referring back to in my life is I think it's a Wayne Dyer quote, but I don't know whether he got it from someone else. But when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And every time I try to look for other quotes and I find other quotes elsewhere, but I always come back to that, it seems, if I'm struggling with how to see something. And sometimes just a shift in perspective can just change everything. And it doesn't mean that you're dismissing what's happening or what someone's done or how you're feeling. It just means that maybe there's just a different way of looking at it, so that you can actually find some peace and you can feel a bit better and help you actually move through it. Where sometimes if you get stuck focusing on one thing, you just come up against a block. And I find if you just shift your perspective like that, just look at it differently, sometimes everything can just change about how you see that situation then.
No, that's beautiful. Yes. And so true, right? But we often forget it. So no, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to add that we maybe haven't discussed today for our listeners?
I don't think so. I think we've sort of touched on a lot of things. I think in my art journaling in particular, if we wanted to talk a little bit about how you art journal and your inspiration, I get a lot of inspiration from meditation and going for walks in nature, bringing in mindfulness. So I'm trying to bring in mindfulness all the time into things. And whether I was down at the beach the other month and just saw just a pattern on a rock, and it just inspired me with the colours and the lines and things like that normally you just walk along with your head up in the sky and don't see things. I think it's coming back to actually being mindful to what's around you, and I think that's been very influential in my art journaling, is being mindful about things. Finding inspiration from different places. And I think we touched on imposter syndrome before, but I think it's great to watch other people do their creative modalities, but just have faith in yourself that what you're doing is right for you at the time.
Right.
And don't put too much pressure on yourself that you have to be, do that perfectly like somebody else. It's perfect for you.
Yeah.
It's perfect for you. Mm.
That's a really good message, because I think we get caught up in everybody else does it better, but it's not
definitely.
a competition, right? It's
no.
the act of creating.
Yeah, and there's room enough for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
there's
absolutely.
room enough for everybody. Mm.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Well, thank you so much. I want to just thank you for being here
you.
and doing this. And I can't wait for our listeners to listen and get a chance to experience more about you. So that's great.
Yeah,
So
thank you so much. It's been lovely. Thank you very much for having me.
All right.